Hi everyone. So for week 7, I can't type because I have this. I'm okay. I just fell down some stairs and so I have to wear this for the next 3 weeks. Anyways, so instead of typing my assignment, I am going to explain what I've learned and answer the questions in video format. So we're talking about phosphorus, and it is found in nature from animals and plants, in rock, sediment, and it certainly there's a cycle where it comes, the rain falls and it erodes the sediment and then it moves its way into the waterway. So we do have cycles of this in nature where it occurs and doesn't cause problems. But of course, we're talking now about the issues that occur because of oversaturation of phosphorus. So not only does it suck out the oxygen, it also reduces the amount of edible plankton for the zooplankton and other primary consumers to eat. It also blocks the sunlight from entering the water. It reduces the amount of dissolved oxygen in the water for aquatic animals. There's a lot of different things that are affected by this. And of course, we know that once you start with the smallest level of the food chain, all the other organisms are then affected by it. Land animals and humans are also affected by this overgrowth because animals will get sick from it, from licking their fur after being in the water or eating the mats of algae. It also contaminates the drinking water. So, there's a lot of other areas that are affected by this, not just the water. So here in China, there is a big problem with algae because of the use of fertilizers and the overuse of fertilizers. A lot of people here are not full-time farmers, so what ends up happening is you have the farmers that will work in the city, and so they'll come home and they just throw all their fertilizer on it because they know that they will get a certain yield from it. And when asked about reducing the amount of fertilizer they use, they don't really care to spend the time to find out what would they get the best use out of the fertilizer, because the fertilizer isn't very expensive and they're working in the city and being farmers at the same time. So there is no benefit for them to sit down and say, okay, how much less fertilizer should we use? So they are trying to figure that out, but that kind of seems to be what the attitude is as far as fertilizers and reducing their use. So what they have here is, in a particular province, they have a festival every year where people go and bathe in the algae. So they kind of made lemonade out of lemons in this situation. So they kind of use it as a tourist destination. But of course we know that that's not good because that's indicative of an unhealthy waterway. And a lot of the waterways here are really unhealthy. So, the best way to reduce this is for those farmers to not be fertilizing their crops as intensely as they are. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these farmers aren't interested in doing that. So that kind of puts us in a bad place as far as trying to make a change for this. However, China is making a lot of efforts now to change some of the decisions that they've made in the past that are really environmentally detrimental. But I really think a lot of these issues come from education and a lack of education. When we talk about the burning of plastics, the burning of coal up north, they really are not educated in these things, and so that's why these decisions, I think, are being made. They are trying to make provisions to change some of this stuff, but it's almost too little too late in some situations because the pollution here is so bad. So I keep saying here, I'm in Calgary, but I'm still thinking I'm in China. But yeah, it's just a very different thing in China because of the lack of education, of how these decisions affect the greater world. And I mean, that's what we're trying to do in school, is really talk to the kids about how their decisions affect the earth when they see someone throwing litter or when they're wasting paper. I had a child who didn't know that paper was made from trees. So it's really a lack of understanding and knowledge. So I think moving forward for China is certainly, it's about getting out there to the farmers and educating them on the use of phosphorus and how that affects the world. The chemical makeup of algae is C1O6, H263, O110, N16P.